Hi everyone. I'm just finished watching Molly Star's video about the Spamton Sweepstakes Silence update, and I figured I'd take a bit of a closer look. I'm a software developer, I've got a little bit of experience in cybersecurity. I found something that I haven't seen talked about on any other YouTube videos. Maybe someone on Twitter or Reddit found it, I don't know. But I figured I'd publish it on YouTube just to see if anyone else noticed it, see what everyone thinks about it. So, in the Spamton Sweepstakes Silence update, there's this page, deltarune.com/chapter4/thank you. Apparently, back during the first 12 hours or so of the Spamton Sweepstakes Silence update, there was a contact form. It looked like this, thanks to the Internet Archive, and it had a space for an email address, which was initially blank, a space for a number, which was also initially blank, and a submit button. Now, wasn't necessarily certain that this was a number, or if this was, or what it really was, and people only found out somehow or another that this was an email address. So, I figured I'd take a bit of a closer look and see what I could find about this. Now, this is the element inspector. This lets you see what the source code of any website looks like. So, let's start with a simpler example. So this is what the page currently looks like. So right now, it's got the header, which says like, oh, this is what the page should look like. It's got stuff like, this is the title of the website, which says up here, how long did it take her to smile. It's got like it's got some other stuff. It's just got the text "thank you" in the middle. This stuff here is tracking stuff for FANGAMER, so they know how many people have accessed the website. This stuff here is just JavaScript that's accessing. This is like styling stuff. I'm not going to go into depth about this, but basically this is what tells your browser how to render this page. Now, let's look at this page here. This is the initial page, which is pretty similar. You know, it's just got the text, it's got the data fields here, and it's got a submit button here. So nothing too big here. But if but something else that is interesting that you can do with browser tools, you can go to the network tab. When you go here, you see a log of every web request that this web page tries to make. So if it tries to phone home to its server, you get to see that right here. So I decided to see what the web request for submitting this email address looks like. See, it tries to make a web request, it failed with a 404 error. 404 error means the page was not found. Now, if we look in more detail, that's because it's going to the Internet Archive and trying to make this request to the Internet Archive, which doesn't exist because this specific page was not archived at this specific time. But it did try to make this request to Deltarune chapter 4-thank you.fangamers.workers.dev. Workers.dev seems to be just standard Cloudflare, but it's trying to make it to a FanGamer page in Cloudflare. So, I was wondering if this page was still up. So right now, if you go to the page, it's blank. This is not meant to be a viewable web page. So this is expected. But I decided I'd try to make my computer pretend that I was making the request with the email address. So I basically went here, saw that this payload, and basically told my computer to pretend that all of this is going on. So I went ahead, threw this together with ChatGPT, made the web request, and I got a 200 response. Now, a 200 response in web development means that the request was made successfully. So basically what this means is that whatever happened, I was able to make a successful request to add myself to this mailing list. Now, I haven't gotten an email from Toby Fox and FanGamers with success, failure, etc. I'm still, I don't expect to, because I expect that it was just a mailing list that would send out an email at X amount of time, and I assume that. So I assume that nothing's going to happen, except I'm hoping that I'm on whatever mailing list he uses to send out more information or whatever he was collecting survey responses for. Because maybe this added it to the response. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. I'll keep you guys updated. Now, if you're interested in more things like this, as I said, I'm not a YouTuber, but if you want to keep up with me, YouTube, you can subscribe to me on YouTube if you want, but that is not the main way to follow me. The main place to follow me is my blog. I publish random articles. I'll probably publish one or a couple about Deltarune at some point, but I publish at most once a month, not always even that frequent. But my most recent post was a post about whether water is wet and trying to philosophically prove whether or not this is the case. If something like that interests you, feel free to check out my blog. I'll have a link in the description. I'll also have a link to Molly Star's video. And yeah, check it out. Subscribe to there, subscribe to my blog, and have a great day.